On behalf of IBPC Dubai, a very good morning to everyone present here and everyone who's joining us online through via Zoom. So without much ado, to take the event forward, I may now call upon the chairman of IBPC, Shri Suresh Kumarji, to have a welcome address.
Distinguished dignitaries and friends. Business breakfast session is a revival of an activity that we had before COVID more frequently. And post-COVID, this is the first such event. And obviously, this is a focused event, a seminar, a hybrid webinar, because we are also connecting up with an audience in India, which has been brought together by our friends and partners in India, the Trade Promotion Council of India, which is under the Ministry of Commerce in India. So the focus here is the pharma sector. And why the pharma sector? Because clearly the pharma sector is one of the few focus areas which has received a boost under the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement that the UAE and India signed in May 2022. And at the time when it was signed, on the same day, we released a report as well. IBPC produced a report with the support of KPMG and released it through Dubai Chamber, through the then President, His Excellency Hamad Bouamim. And what it signified was the first structured attempt at analyzing opportunities and trends and also challenges. And the pharma sector was one area which was previously challenged in terms of the process of approvals and the like. And that's where we were doubly happy that the CEPA, Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, signed between not only address the pharma sector in a special chapter, Chapter 5, but also liberalized the access to the region, to the markets, through a number of provisions for finished pharmaceutical products from India, as long as they were subject to one of the 5 global approvals, namely right from Australia, Canada, the UK, the US, Japan, and the like. So I think that's what sets the context for this morning's discussions. And the discussions will be in the form of 2 special panel discussions. One online from India, which will be preceded by one which is the physical event here as part of the breakfast event in Dubai. We have an impressive line of sector specialists, some very senior veterans from the sector, and we are happy that the pharmaceutical sector receives the attention that it deserves from 2 perspectives, both from a trade perspective, trade with India, which has been given this boost by CEPA provisions, the CEPA Chapter 5, but also in terms of investments in last mile production, in value add here on the ground, investing in pharmaceutical sector in India, and achieving an objective in the UAE. The UAE wishes to be a pharmaceutical hub, and that objective is also progressed by this enabler in the CEPA. India has been often referred to as the pharmaceutical, fountainhead in the world. And I think while such a description might be a touch exaggerated, especially because pharmaceutical manufacturing is a combination of it's a value chain of number of activities. And I think as part of the discussions today, that will also be hopefully addressed. So without further ado, let me welcome you all and take it forward. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now, if I may call upon the Director, Trade and Promotion Councils of India, Shri Ashok Sethi ji, to address the meeting here. Ashok ji has joined us from India via Zoom. Ashok ji, over to you.
Thank you. Good morning and namaskar. This is a namaskar primarily to a forum which is so important to us today, led by Mr. Suresh Kumar, Chairman IBPC, and a good morning to His Excellency Dr. Amanpur in absentia, distinguished panelists and invitees from UAE and India. Indeed, a privilege to be part of a panel discussion which delves into a highly potential pharma business terrain, especially with the setting in of CEPA. I would like to quickly just tell you and just recap on what is TPCI. It's basically an apex trade and investment promotion organization focused nationally and internationally, notified in the foreign trade policy, recognized and supported by the Ministry of Commerce and Industries, MSME, Ministry of External Affairs, and several state governments. And we have a strength of about 2,500 active industry members from F&B, food processing, chemicals and allied, ceramics, IT, infrastructure and service sectors. So we therefore feel that we do and can add value to this particular initiative. Just a quick snapshot on India's pharmaceutical sector. India is a significant player in the global pharmaceutical industry, as we all know. The country has a share of about 20% in the global supply volume and contributes to around 60% of global vaccines. The Indian pharmaceutical industry is known for its generic medicines and low-cost vaccines globally, transformed over the years as a vibrant sector. Presently, Indian pharmaceutical ranks third in pharmaceutical production by volume. In 2021, India's pharmaceutical exports amounted to USD 24.35 billion against the total pharmaceutical imports of 6.6 billion, generated a surplus of 17.68 billion. Therefore, a key sector for our Atmanirbhar Bharat program. Just going a step further, broadly, the sector consists of manufacturing bulk drugs and formulations. Bulk drugs includes the active pharmaceutical ingredients, which are used for manufacture of formulations. There are over 80 pharmaceutical clusters in India and over 10,500 manufacturing facilities across the country. Therefore, the pharmaceutical sector is integrated into global value chains through backward integration. India's participation is strongly related to investments of large pharmaceutical companies, especially from the US. Therefore, if we look at a potential for India, we see that UAE is currently India's third largest trading partner and the second largest export destination after the US. India exports of pharmaceutical products to the UAE was 210 million in 2020, mostly in the generic sector. This is where I want to emphasize on. Though UAE pharmaceutical market size is 3.5 billion USD, its generic market, including of vaccines, was just $718 million in 2021. Now, out of this, India exported to the UAE 210 million. Therefore, there is a huge potential because we see that the UAE generic market is projected to grow at a CAGR of 7% in the next 5 years, reaching an amount of about 1,000 USD million by 2026, looking at a huge potential for India. Let's have a look at the untapped potential. India participates mostly in the generic sector of UAE. Now, the UAE's local formulation industry is fast developing, and India's exports may have a chance of increasing the active pharma ingredients. Needless to say that formulation exports from India has grown by CAGR 48% in the last 5 years. Therefore, we look forward to inroads in this particular segment into UAE because India is looking at a geographic top priority for pharma exporters, and the trade pact for with UAE will act as a catalyst. Now, the prospects under the India-UAE CEPA is this is a very important part of the whole business. UAE is an re-export market as well. CEPA will provide wider access to the much larger GCC, Saudi Arabia, and African markets for the Indian exporters through UAE. CEPA could revive a long-shelved FTA with the Gulf Cooperation Countries Council. The GCC pharmaceutical market is estimated at 15 billion, of which 4.6 billion USD is for generic segments, which is our strength from India. There are a large number of US FDA 741 and European 743 GMP approved facilities in India. Now, this is big. Therefore, now the companies who have facilities approved by 8 drug regulators, including those of US FDA, EMA, UK, MHRA, TGA, Australia, and Health Canada, which Dr. Suresh had very rightly pointed out, can get export approvals in only 90 days versus a previous track of about 24 months. I'd like to conclude here that this definitely invites a serious SWOT analysis so that the advantages and challenges emerging can be quickly addressed in terms of both social and economic fronts. By social, I mean capacity building, jobs and allied opportunities both ways. And by economic, I mean enhancement of both trade and investment opportunities between UAE and India. I'd like to conclude here on a very positive note and do believe that if good steps and speedy steps are taken on this front, there's nothing left except success. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ashok ji. We have with us the Honorable Consul General of India, His Excellency Dr. Aman Puri, to grace the occasion. Sir, may I please call upon yourself to please come here and give us the welcome address.
Thank you so much. Namaskar. Assalamu alaikum. A good morning to all of you. It's a real pleasure to join all of you on this very important session on the pharma sector. Dr. Maryam Galadhari, Mr. Marwan Abdulaziz Janahi, Mr. Sri Kumar, Mr. Suresh Kumar. First of all, I'd like to thank IBPC and Trade Promotion Council of India to organize this very important session to bring all of us together and to continue the momentum which has been created by the CEPA in making sure that the two countries can work strategically together. While we'll be hearing from several experts on the new opportunities and how our Indian pharma manufacturers can leverage these opportunities and how we can work together with our UAE counterparts to take the relationship to the next level, I would just like to focus on one or two areas. Of course, we all know that India is the pharmacy of the world. We're making immense contributions. We know that what are the opportunities which are available now for early market authorization and registration for the pharma products. But I think one thing is very important. The two countries, their relationship is called strategic for a purpose. So this is something which our entrepreneurs, our business leaders have to also appreciate, that the two governments have been able to negotiate the CEPA in 88 days. And there's a reason for that. The reason is that we were comprehensive strategic partners. the first country with which UAE signed this partnership. So when it comes to various sectors, and this is a very important sector, the pharma sector, we have to think strategically. We have to look at how we can leverage the opportunity, the incentives available extended by the UAE leadership, UAE government authorities here for the pharma manufacturers. So we don't have to purely think in terms of how much we can export to this destination and how we can, obviously, we can use UAE and Dubai as a re-export hub, that we are doing quite efficiently even till date. But I think what is more important is for us to think strategically, to see that how the two countries can work together, how we can build manufacturing capacities in this part of the world, and use that and leverage that to supply the pharma goods to the entire MENA region, CIS region, and other parts of the world. How we can do joint research together. So those are the opportunities for the future. We've all gone through an unprecedented healthcare crisis. When the COVID-19 hit us somewhere in March 2020, we didn't know when the vaccine will be available for all of us. We absolutely had no idea. And just think back, just think about it. Think about which are the pharma manufacturers worldwide, globally, who actually partnered and collaborated with their potential global counterparts. Very few. And think about it that, a healthcare crisis which was affecting all of us equally. And health security is indivisible. Either we are all safe or no one is safe. We realized all this, but I think we as human beings are able to actually move very fast and forget some of the learnings. I think we must not lose this opportunity. We've had this once in a century kind of crisis, but we should use this as learning, and we should make sure that we are prepared for the future. We must make sure that in future, whenever there is such a healthcare crisis, we as governments, as other stakeholders in this sector, are able to partner and collaborate and work together. So UAE and India, two countries which share a very close brotherly relationship. Actually, a relationship which in many ways, in diplomatic circles, a lot of my colleagues say it is actually a role model for other countries on how to build a relationship, on how to work together in the interest and welfare of people on both sides. So I think of the pharma sector, which definitely impacts the welfare of individuals, not only in both countries, but also globally. And UAE and India partnership and collaboration is a force for good. We must think strategically. We must work together in the long term. Of course, we'll take advantage of all the incentives available under CEPA, which have been very, I would say, painstakingly negotiated. And the governments have negotiated on behalf of the private sector. So we see the private sector as the key stakeholder in driving this momentum forward now. Now we have done our role in creating this pathway and creating this bedrock. Now you have to build on that. And we are obviously going to be fully supporting the continued collaboration in this sector. And all such sessions will be very important for us as a learning, as a inputs from your side to see how we can ensure that we can truly leverage the potential created by the CEPA and truly realize the true potential of our relationship. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Now to start with the session, I would now like to call upon our moderator for the day, a gentleman with 14 years of experience in pharma industry investment and portfolios, mentor of IBPC's MNC and large business focus group, Mr. Sri Kumar Brahmanandan, investment director from Dubai Investment Industries and Masharis LLC, guys. Sir, please take it forward.
Assalamu alaikum, namaste, good morning to all of you and our friends in India. We have a co-panelist and a co-moderator there in India, and we have a hybrid session. So excuse us in case there is some flaws in between because we are testing it out in a very short time. And it's a pleasure and privilege. We heard our dynamic CG, Excellency, explaining about the importance of pharma sector and the landscape of UAE and how important it is for both the countries to partner together. And we could not have chosen a much better time for such an event when our dynamic leader of IBPC, Sureshji, came forward with this idea along with the TPCI. How can we generate more interest to leverage on the advantages provided by CEPA? Even without that, the UAE pharma industry and the India pharma industry goes a long way back. Most of the UAE pharma industries in the beginning, when the genesis took place, had some or the other way cooperation with India. India, with, as our friends explained, probably supplies more than 40% of the generics for United States, and maybe more than 50% of the generics for the African continent, and a good number to even UAE. So we have a strong base there in India, and look at where we are in UAE today. The government is pushing hard. We have an ambition to make UAE a hub of pharmaceutical products, manufacturing as well as innovation. It is not just only manufacturing. Yesterday, I was with His Excellency Dr. Amin, the Undersecretary of Ministry of Health. We were discussing the same thing about how to improve, how to attract more FDIs. There is innumerable policies which is already laid out, including the Chapter 5 in the CEPA agreement for attracting foreign companies to come and open shop here. Just not only the secondary packaging in pharma industry. When we hear somebody has set up shop here, our friend Dr. Marwan knows it very well. Mostly it will become like a secondary packaging. That's not what we are looking for today. We are looking for full manufacturing here. And I believe a set of policies are going to be rolled out in the near future for further easing the business for pharma. Regulatory affairs and pricing is a key aspect. We have a prominent mother of pharmacy we call Dr. Maryam Galadhari here. So let me again say that this is the best occasion IBPC and TPCI could have chosen for holding such a forum. And I believe both people there in India and our distinguished friends here will benefit from this. So it's now my duty to invite the fellow panelists onto the dais. Let me start with Dr. Maryam Galadhari. Dr. Maryam Galadhari, ma'am, we fondly call her as the mother of pharmacists in UAE. Please, ma'am. She was a former General Director of Pharmacy and Drug Controls with the Ministry of Health here. And she is, for us, a board advisor to the Global Pharma, which a portfolio which I manage. And we are very proud to have the association with her for last 14 years, ma'am, almost 14 years, yeah. And 2005, so 17 years. And ma'am's guidance is immense, and we treat her as a mentor in the industry there. And her knowledge in regulatory affairs and pricing is something which is beyond comparison. And I can talk because I work with her on this aspect. And she is holding 2 positions in the Emirates Medical Association today. She is a board member and the head of Pharmacy Society of UAE. And it's a great honor to have you here, ma'am. And it's IBPC's privilege to have you also as a panelist in a very short notice. You know, we just invited her 2 days before. She's a successful mother, and beyond that, enthusiast in gardening and agriculture. She does a lot of that in her backyards. Love pets and birds, spends a lot of time on that. So thank you very much, Dr. Maryam, on the stage. Next, we have the fellow panelist, dear friend, Dr. Marwan. Many of you know him. And if we look at UAE's free zones and the zones which is specifically set up for developing businesses, one will look with envy the Dubai Science Park today. He is a dynamic leader who is selling, marketing, promoting, and cooperating with the potential investors there. And you have over 400 establishments over there. He is a graduate from the University of Texas, if I'm right. And also, he has done his MBA from INSEAD here. The kind of leadership he provides to the companies which is in the Dubai Science Park it stands to his credit, because if you talk to any of them, they talk about the approachability, the kind of cooperation, what he does with them. And it's our privilege to have you here. When Sureshji invited you, probably it was 2 days notice. And thank you very much and welcome you to the stage. To Marwan Abdullah says, one of the key things is he heads the pharmacy group of the Dubai Chamber, which is focused for developing pharma business here. And he leads it effectively. In one WhatsApp shot, he spreads the messages of any opportunities which is coming here, and I know it very well. And his group is one of the most effective group working under the Dubai Chamber, facilitating pharma delegations from Africa, from India, from Latin America coming to UAE, and that leadership role is very commendable. But besides all this, what he does? He's a sports enthusiast. He is an outdoor man. You don't see him in the office much. What do? Hiking. You name Mount Kilimanjaro, he was there. Welcome and thank you very much. Next, we have the fellow panelist, a successful pharmacy industry leader, my friend Madhukar. Mr. Madhukar is a veteran here in UAE pharma industry. Everybody who is there in the UAE pharma industry know him. Most of you may be aware, we have 24 pharma companies here in UAE producing around 1600 plus products. And you name many of these products, one way or the other way back in India or in UAE, Mr. Madhukar was associated. It's our privilege to have you here to give us the Indian pharmaceutical perspective to the body here. He's the co-founder and CEO of pharmaceutical industry in the Dubai Science Park, which is headed by the person who is sitting next to him. And I know personally what is the value they created. At the end of the day, for an investor, what is the value you create from an investment? And we all, with envy, look at what is the value he created for Pharmax when one of the leading businesses from Abu Dhabi, the sovereign funds, have acquired Pharmax majority stake. And as CEO, Madhukar has broad responsibility of managing business development, sales, marketing, and operations in the region and across other geographies. And it's our privilege for you to be here. Thank you very much. And what we will do now is we have a similar panel in India, and I'll hand over the mic to Mr. Virat Bari for taking it forward in India. Over to you, Virat.
Right. Thank you so much, Sri Kumar sir. Greetings, Your Excellency Dr. Aman Puri, Suresh Kumar sir from IBPC Dubai, Chairman IBPC Dubai, and Ashok Sethi sir from joining from here, Director Trade Promotion Council of India. Greetings to the panelists and invitees from Dubai and India. It's really an honor to be co-moderating the session with you, sir, Shri Kumar sir. And UAE is a market which we work so closely with, not just with our trade and investment ties, but our very strong people-to-people contacts. We have families, we have business relations. It's almost a market which we do not consider as foreign anymore. I could go to the extent of saying that. And pharma is definitely one sector where India has made great strides across the world. It's not just the markets like Africa, but even the most developed markets like the US and Europe. Our products are well recognized, and we've been it's a very prominent success story of India. And I firmly believe, and we all firmly believe, that there is a lot of opportunity not just for trade, but for collaboration where we can share expertise and grow together as countries, just as we have been exploring other sectors under this CEPA, which is definitely something which we would like to pursue further. We would like to talk on a lot of sectors as a council over further sessions where India and UAE can strengthen their relations. So as far as today's session is concerned, it's my privilege to invite our panelists from India. I'll just give you a brief introduction of our panelists. We have with us Dr. Tulip Newell, Chief Commercial Officer, Omni BRX Biotechnologies. Dr. Newell is the Chief Commercial Officer at Omni BRX. He has 12 years of experience spanning academia and industry. He is a techno-commercial professional with training in science and commercial aspects of biotech ventures. He has donned different hats across his career, ranging from lab research to global strategy and operations. At Omni BRX, he and his team are responsible for bringing proprietary single-use bioprocessing technology, cell BRX bioreactor systems to the global markets. This technology will enable manufacturers to produce vaccines and viral vectors at large scale with ultimate process efficiency and cost effectiveness. Next, we have Mr. Tahir Karampurwala, who's actually joining us from the UAE, but representing the Indian industry. He is Director, MENA and APAC Business CIPLA Limited, a pharma professional with over a decade of experience in international business. He has worked as a business development professional for US and emerging markets in large Indian MNCs like Ranbaxy and Sun Pharma, and currently is cluster head for CIPLA's MENA and APAC business. We have also with us Mr. Abhijit Pasak, Partner, Life Sciences Strategy and Transactions at EY. He covers pharmaceuticals, medical technologies, and healthcare services, including healthcare. He also plays a subject matter role, expert role across the AIM, Africa, India, Middle East, with deep experience in strategy formulation, business planning, senior leadership visioning, portfolio decisions, and commercial due diligence. He has also had recent experiences in localization strategies for pharmaceuticals in the Middle East. And finally, we have with us Dr. M. Dhanasekaran, Director, Technical and Admin, Genuine Biosystems, who is completed his master's PhD in biochemistry, and he has 21 years of experience in the industry, and he will be talking specifically on the opportunities in vitro diagnostics and medical devices. Right. So that's the introduction from the panelists from our side. Over to you, Sri Kumar sir, now to take the session forward.
Thank you. I think the technology has proven okay. We had this doubt how seamlessly it will flow. So that is good for us. Thank you very much. So now we will get into the other task of having question answer sessions and the panel discussions. So the way we have put down the flow is we will have a question here in UAE. We will have the discussion. Then we will have the same thing over to India. So we'll do back and forth so that the interest level is maintained to everybody. So let me start with Madam Dr. Galadhari. I can't think of anybody else to pose this question when it comes to the regulatory affairs or pricing of the products. You have vast experience of dealing with Indian pharma products, and its registrations and pricing, etc. What are the advantages and key challenges for the Indian pharma companies for entering the UAE market? And what's your perception of the quality standards of the Indian pharma companies, ma'am?
Thank you. First of all, Salam alaikum. I want to thank you for inviting me in this event today. And all of you will know the UAE government will support all manufacturing factories. And mashallah, Indian medical manufacturing factories is very great and have a lot manufacturing of the drugs. And some of the drugs are registered in the UAE. But there have some, if the drugs were registered in the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Health will give authority for the local manufacturing and the pricing of the drug. The drug which is manufacturing locally, they give the price, higher price, 70% to the innovator drugs. But if they manufacturing in the out of the country, the pricing will be less than the innovator, near 60% or 50% less than the innovator, right? The Ministry of Health, they support for locally manufactured, and we have, mashallah, I think 5 manufacturing Indian factories and registered in the UAE. Inshallah, we need to cooperate with the Indian factories to come in the UAE country to manufacturing. And in the Indian also, they have manufactured the API raw material, and we not have this, we not have manufacturing here in the UAE. We need to cooperate with this factories to manufacture the API raw material in the country, Emirates country. Thank you.
One part of the query, what people would like to know is, based on your vast experience, what is your perception of the quality and professionalism of the Indian companies based on your experience?
The quality of Indian manufacturing is great quality, and all, especially in the raw material, we all the local manufacturing will import the raw material API from India. This one good GMP manufacturing Indian drugs factory.
So that's a great compliment to the high standards of GMP and the bulk pharma sectors of India from none other than Dr. Galadhari. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Over to you, Vikas, to pose question from India.
Right. Thank you so much, Srikumarji. Now, first of all, I would like to invite Dr. M. Dhanasekaran. Could you share your views on trade and investment opportunities in vitro diagnostics and medical devices based on your experience, sir?
Okay. Yeah. Good morning, everybody. And first of all, I would like to thank DPCA for the nice opportunity given to us, along with to give the orientation, the idea of IVD industry and medical device. Firstly, I would like to mention, like personally, I feel if I say IVD before COVID, a common lay person cannot know our industry, because in vitro diagnostics medical device is a root of any medical forum, I can say. Like, for example, if anybody goes problem, first we need to do the diagnostics, get to know what kind of disease, then they will refer to the doctor. This particular movement, it was a very challenge, even though I passed more than 24 years in the same industry before COVID to people. Also, much important for any kind of
So there's a problem in the audio. No.
But if you can just message them stating
Yes,
about the
yes.
lab.
Right, right. Maybe I'll request Abhijit Basatti to share his views, then I'll come back to Dr. Dhanasekharan is back.
I'm sorry.
You're back, yeah. Okay, he can continue. Please,
Yeah,
Dr. Dhanasekharan.
yeah. I'm sorry. There was a yesterday we were talking about the COVID. Today the monkeypox in India. When the sooner we got a monkeypox alert from the WHO, we have ramped up the testing kits. This is the strength now. The biotech in India has been come up. Also, Government of India putting a lot of effort. And during last year, our Prime Minister has been announced for the 4 medical device park in India. One is near to Chennai. And I would like to inform that we are the one of the company. We have taken the space in the medical device park. We are the first alertee. It is sponsored by the state and central subsidy organization. This particular medical device, which park, which was very limited before COVID, but in this COVID, government also taken a lot of initiative, lot of biotech R&D startup, many schemes. This is operating by our Government of India, which is a boosting factor for an entrepreneur like us to do a lot of work on the research, because we have a research team. We have a team of 15 people, including me. I'm heading up for research. We have a postdocs of 6 people and 4 PhDs and 5 postdocs, which this 15 member, we continue any kind of new development. Also, we are working for the cancer related diagnosis of cancer, especially cervical cancer, and another big challenge to the entire. So this and all, though we have interest, there should be some encouragement policy where the recognition is very important when the technical development when is happening. Now I can tell you that the India giving a very good opportunity, very good recognition for the IVD and the medical device sector, and we are very sure this industry can grow tremendously, not just because of COVID. The technical team, the technical expertise in the pan India we have across, where we can able to ramp up any assay biomarker very less time. 3 months also is more than enough. Such a technical backup, the whole India is managing now with a lot of institution, also government institution, private institution. All the research organization is well networked with the government in India now. I hope coming days India can be much recognized in the diagnostic sector, and also in this way for the UAE market. UAE is very familiar to me. Also, we are also planning from our company to do some kind of manufacturing activity. As of now, UAE, there is no diagnostic IVD device manufacturer. We are planning the same in something like in Sharjah safe zone. If everything goes well, very short of time, we are planning the same. And thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, sir. That's a very specific business plan you have mentioned regarding UAE. Maybe, sir, you could, Sri Kumar, sir, you could share some insights from there about, what kind of investor interest would be there in such opportunities in pharma manufacturing?
That's a good question, even though it's out of syllabus at the moment, but I think it's an interesting question and we should answer. Probably I can take that question from an investor's perspective. Say, look, UAE investors have a unique characteristics. Anything which can give good returns in a reasonable time, nobody turns back. And the market environment and the landscape is today so fertile for healthcare, edutech, education, and pharma. You have a robust business plan backed up with good technology and a little bit of skin in the game. All the investors will be there with you. The government is supporting heavily. You get one of the best interest rates for raising funds here. Our IBOR plus maybe 100 points or 125 points today. The borrowing rate is probably much, much attractive than anywhere else. The banks have funds. They are looking for good investments with a reasonable ROI and good return. And I can assure you that people like Dubai Investments is always very positive looking at such opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you,
Now,
sir.
question in UAE now. The UAE government has established a robust system for growth of pharma, and our industrial policy 2030 and the UAE government's vision for 2050, if you look at the pillars, pharma healthcare is a key pillar in it. UAE today is a $2.7 billion pharma industry, and we set an ambitious target of about 5 billion. That means more than doubling in 3 years. 2025, the target is more than doubling the pharma industry. It is not a small task, and it needs a lot of efforts from different agencies. And I cannot find anybody else to raise a question than Excellency Marwan Al-Janahi, who heads the task force of Dubai Chamber from Dubai perspective to attract investments and create opportunities for the companies here. So we would like to hear from you, sir. What are the key initiatives you think the UAE or Dubai regulators do in order to attract leading pharma industries from India, from an Indian perspective?
Thank you. Firstly, I'd like to thank you and the organizers and the colleagues and the friends for hosting me and to be connecting with the business community here and also the leaders in India. So I think we always take a very holistic approach and we look at not only a specific of the business, but the entirety of the business from a logistics perspective, from doing business, banking, connecting to other markets. And I always tell people that, UAE is a good place to start from, but don't only look at the UAE, because from the UAE, you can, reach a much wider region. If you look at the majority of the pharma pharma logistics that comes from India to the US is about 80% of it goes through Dubai. So 80% of what goes to the US, the pharmaceutical, the Indian products is through, between Emirates and Etihad. So this is, it gives you a perspective that from the UAE, you can reach the globe. And this is why, you need to think much, much larger. To answer your question, I think, one of the things that we are actively doing is looking at where companies need what exactly, whether it is laboratory space, manufacturing, warehousing, offices. So we create an entire ecosystem for companies. And even if you are a small company, you want to start with, let's say, virtual space, we even facilitate that. And we're always encouraging baby steps, come do business, grow your business, look at the region, and so that you have a solid plan. At Dubai Science Park, we have created a massive network, whether it is with distributors, investors, the regulator, even with academia for hiring, whether it is pharmacists or lab technicians. Again, looking at it from a very holistic point of view. Each business is different, whether it is diagnostics, pharma, API. And today, talking about opportunities, since we're talking pharma and generics, I think and this is probably what I want to leave today with the audience is, let's look at biosimilars. Why are we not having, manufacturing of biosimilars? India is one of the leading countries The UAE has, a little bit of activities, probably with Julfar and maybe with Hayat, but not much. 25 manufacturers, yes. In terms of the future of pharma, even if you look at the FDA pipeline in the US, majority of it is biologics. So the future of medicine is definitely biologics. The question is, what are we doing about it, and what are we specifically doing about it here in the UAE?
I could not have got more authentic and clear answer than Excellency Marwan Al-Janahi. And both our panelists have raised this issue of biosimilars. India's bulk pharma industry is huge, and it has got a huge potential to come to UAE. I may just add a subsection of this question, taking from your idea of Indian biosimilars and knowledge-based industry. What do you think from Dubai Chamber or from Dubai Science Park to support the government's initiative of bringing knowledge of pharma backward, R&D and research into UAE? What do you think could be the initiatives which can be provided, or the support which can be provided rather to the Indian companies?
I think one of the programs that we're working on, and R&D again is very important. It is that's what drives innovation, and this is an innovation, and what drives companies forward. So we have done a lot of programs with the universities to encourage their students to be working with the companies, whether it is at the factories, at the labs, at the corporate offices, just so that the students have a widened their scope. That it is not only if I'm a pharmaceutical or a pharmacy student, it doesn't mean I need to work in the pharmacy. I can do many other things. So yes. So that is one of the programs, and again, I think whether it is clinical trials, for example, and COVID has been a massive booster for that. If you look at the process for clinical trials, where the approvals took 6 to 8 months, now you're talking about maybe a few weeks. And this was done to give access to the vaccines, the Chinese and the Russian. If it wasn't this acceleration of the process, we would have not had those vaccines in the UAE. So clinical trials were looked at not at a very sexy thing, if you will, but now it means innovation, it means access, it means survival. So the perception of it has changed in a very positive way, and I think it's a golden time for doing clinical trials.
So opportunities are plenty for the Indian side, and thank you. Over to India.
Thank you, sir. Interesting perspective on clinical trials, definitely. I will now request Mr. Abhijit Basant to provide us a picture on how he feels post CEPA we can have what kind of trade and investment opportunities in the pharma sector. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Virat. In fact, the discussion took a certain, I think, very interesting turn in the last 5 minutes, which is something I've been very passionate about in the last, let's say, 15 months. And this is around the theme of localization that we have been seeing across. And I'm just being a little cautious because I'm a consultant and I have clients in the region. So I'm just generalizing to GCC, fund, and greenfield facility, just so that I don't end up using any specific country or emirate name. But what has happened post-COVID is it has now become a matter of national security. So drug security has become a matter of national security. And in any case, I think across Middle East, there has been a focus on expanding the knowledge economy, and pharma and biotech is very much part of it, especially if you look at the innovative space. And biosimilars is innovative enough. There's a lot of money that goes into even getting a biosimilar on the ground. It may not run into $1 billion, but a 200, 300 million investment is very often needed to get a biosimilar to market. And Julfar had just come into discussion, and believe it or not, in the last 2-3 days, we actually made a case study on Julfar in terms of the kind of investment, the quantum that is needed to have something which in markets like India and China, we literally take for granted, which is insulin. And again, just to put it in perspective, if we look at the investment that Biocon had made in Malaysia on what is today Asia's largest insulin manufacturing plant at $300 million investment, we compare that with Julfar at about a half of that, but still it is a fantastic local step. And we see a lot of that happening. Now, there was just this mention of clinical trials and universities. Now, if you look at some clusters that have come up globally, be it if you go from east to west, say Singapore, then parts of the Indian ecosystem for that matter, the Chinese ecosystem. There are countries like Malaysia who've announced biotech initiatives. You look at, say, the Tel Aviv cluster. Then on the US side, there are very distinct clusters like the Cambridge cluster on the East Coast. Then you have San Diego on the West Coast. Now, these are driven by companies that are very far from revenue today. So exactly the way you would have the IT or technology startups. And in such cases, the ecosystem becomes very critical. So you have clinical trial ecosystems, clinical research organizations who are picking things up for third parties, or rather who are the third party picking it up for innovators. You have CDMOs or contract manufacturers who work on process development. And we actually see a lot of opportunity for this kind of ecosystem to come up in the Middle East, because till now, even the clinical activity, the clinical trial activity that we've seen in the Middle East has very often been, say, minor extensions of global programs just to ensure that the product gets to market fast. And I'm not even talking the COVID vaccines. Even before, you would typically see a 2 to 3 year lag between, say, a US launch and say a GCC launch, and there would be small patient cohorts where there are trials that are happening. I think the next level for this would be, can we get to a more, say, local research or initiated trials? Now, it could be hospitals, and we've seen Cleveland or Mayo Clinic come in very well into UAE. Another very interesting aspect, and the word came up, was vaccines. And even beyond just the COVID vaccines, if you see the Indian manufacturers like the Serum Institute are among the largest manufacturers participating on global platforms like Gavi. But then a lot of the funding or the donations actually come from the Middle East. So the question there would be, we may not have the critical mass in the local market. Say, very specifically, if I look at UAE, and then we take it a little further, concentric circles, we look at the GCC, then MEA, MENA, and then Middle East and Africa, and so on, then you really start looking at like 40–50% of the global population being within, say, a 4 to 6 hour flight radius. Now the question is, today we are donating in dollars. Tomorrow, can we donate in kind? And can that actually create the critical mass to have cost-effective manufacturing out of the Middle East? So these are some, I think, some of the questions, and I was just picking up on some of the keywords that came up, and we'll be happy to continue this later as well. So Virat, over to you, and as the discussion progresses, we'll be happy to chip in.
Yes. Okay, thank you so much, Abhijit sir. Over to you, Sri Kumar sir.
Thank you. Abhijit opened a Pandora's box of opportunities for everybody, and thank you. Knowing EY sitting on the pile of data of Middle East and GCC, we value your suggestions and the inputs, Abhijit. Now, the panelist on my side, dear friend Madhuka, he comes with a very different experience. bringing India pharmaceutical story to UAE, make it successful, and create value to its shareholders. So who else I can ask this question than him? Madhukaji, in which areas or sub-segments of the pharma industry you feel the Indian manufacturing companies can add more value to UAE, like the UAE's manufacturing ecosystems of APIs and excipients and formulations or complex generics, etc. What do you think are the opportunities today?
Thank you, Shri. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me as a panelist. It's my privilege to speak in presence of His Excellency Dr. Aman, Mr. Suresh Kumar. It shows the significance of CEPA. It shows the significance of Indian pharmaceutical industry. I'm going to restrict myself, unlike Marwan, who has a much holistic view and much broader view, but only up to the generic industry and pharmaceutical manufacturing. So let me take a couple of minutes I have there. So let me tell you the same, if I look at 2014 and if I look at 2022, which is post-COVID, it is very ironic that we have to have a CEPA to encourage the pharmaceutical industry to come to UAE. There was no need for CEPA. The ground was already laid out many years ago in UAE and in GCC for Indian pharmaceutical industry. When I was a medical rep in 1987 in this country, the only players which were significantly present besides multinational companies were the Ranbaxys of this world, Cadila Pharmaceuticals, and a couple of others. Moving back, if I take back, there was no need. But I think over a period of time, Indian manufacturers started focusing on developed markets, so as US, Europe, and they lost a little bit of sight in coming to this region, which was always fertile, which was always promising, which was always growing much faster than rest of the world. But we lost that little bit of opportunity, but nothing is lost. Now we can catch up. So I just give you one example. In 2013, 2014, when we were doing the construction of Pharmex with the partnership and lots of help from Marwan, I must say that, and thank you for that. Not a single Indian manufacturer was willing to look at the long-term horizon. Everybody, what is in it for me in a very short term? They also told me, you guys are crazy to set up a plant in Dubai. And the same partners today are eager to do partnership because somebody down the road took the risk of going ahead. What I believe that such a strong industry which we have in India, one is IT industry and second is pharmaceutical, with a strong intellectual property, strong research background. I think we should start first and foremost to answer your question, is to see long-term benefit of this region, of this country. That is number one. So that's something I think all Indian manufacturers should start looking at it. Number two, there are trade promotions, there are support from the government, but I think it is very, very important to work with the regulators who, end of the day, they are there to help you. The amount of help today MOHAP is giving us is incredible. Being a local manufacturer, I don't think we would have been as successful as we are today without the help of regulators. And Indian manufacturers must, as a group, collectively, should work with the regulators. I remember Marwan and he went to India to talk to the industry association, Indian Drug Manufacturers Association. I have not seen such an activity here by the industry association and in partnership with the regulators to solve certain teething problems, to clarify certain regulatory pathways. Not that you want to bypass the regulatory mechanism set by the country. And that is one of the things I also observed when a lot of Indian manufacturers say, can I not bypass this for Dubai just because we are small? Can I not have a zone 4 instead of zone 3 stability? We'll figure it out. I think that short-term tactics will not work. So the message I would like to give to the Indian manufacturers, come as a comprehensive proposal and also work with the regulators. Just again, last specific example, about a month ago, His Excellency Dr. Amin invited the industry delegation of UAE and went to Indonesia and met all the industry delegations, Minister of Health, regulatory bodies, comprehensive evaluation of each other, and then subsequent follow-up online session. And he told me personally that he would be very happy to do something similar with India, and I'll be very happy to be associated with such a thing. But that is what is required to have a very close dialogue with the regulators to iron out certain things. Yes, products which are approved in US, this, in any way the MOHAP is approving it, but there are some details, there are some which can be rectified. And last message, I don't want this kind of meeting to happen once a year or once in every 2 years. I think unless we continue to push forward, it takes time to change somebody's situation. So with that, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for listening.
Could not have heard much authentic report of how it works when it comes to the Indian pharma companies and the regulatory approvals requirements over here. And I have seen it, and he's very right. There were good opportunities for India pharma companies, and I know, and I was part of it. Ranbaxy in his prime days lost a good opportunity to acquire a large facility in UAE. They came very close to it. Then the focus shifted to Japan and United States. So this is an example of that. So fully agree with you. And the Indian side, this is one thing to note. Yes, we have strong regulatory systems over here, but at the same time, the silver line is we have a CEPA's Section 5, which details out how the pharma industries from India will be treated. You have windows for fast track approvals and direct market authorizations. If we have one of the FDIs from US or Australia or UK approvals, etc. So there are a lot of things which is in the makings. So the policymakers are more supportive. We need to come forward with formal, proper, structured approach for a long-term investment in UAE. Thank you, and over to India.
Thank you so much, Kumar sir. I have just one update. Dr. Tulip Luval had to suddenly leave due to some emergencies, expressed his apology. But it's my pleasure to welcome Mr. Tahir Karampurwala, Director MENA and APAC Business, CIPLA, for a very practical perspective on export opportunities for Indian pharma in the UAE. Over to you, Tahir sir.
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank Trade Promotion Council for having me here and share our experience and represent CIPLA as well as the Indian pharmaceutical industry. A lot of points have been covered already, so I would like to touch upon a few points. As we all know that the UAE has been the third largest market for India in terms of export. And India is called as the pharmacy of the world. Despite that, we have seen very little share of Indian pharmaceutical in UAE. And I was just hearing out Mr. Ashok Sethi speaking in the beginning, and he gave us some hard numbers. 3.5 billion market, and Indian generic share is only 210 million. That is somewhere around just 6%. So there is a lot of scope for growth. And I think that is where CEPA comes in as a very important step. And that is why I would like to congratulate everyone who was involved in getting this deal done. And I heard only 88 days. So congratulations for that. And I think this is just the first step. In today's time, there is a growing need for affordable and high quality medicine, not just in UAE, but across the world. And Indian pharmaceutical can play a key role, not just in bringing affordable medicine and raw material, but also technology to the country. And my message to the group would be that how do we not only make UAE self-sufficient in manufacturing medicine, but make it pharmacy of Middle East. So that would be my message, that how do we look at creating this partnership between India and UAE. And I would like to share what has been our experience as CEPLA. CEPLA, as you all know, is one of the largest Indian pharmaceutical company. Started long back in 1935, and we have been now present in more than 80 countries. Our experience with UAE has been very good in recent times. We have done investment in the country, setting up. By the way, we would like to announce that it is the first lab for testing and release of a complex respiratory inhalation medicine in UAE. Right here, Mr. Mavan, in Dubai Science Park. As you know, also, we have our office in Middle East, again, in Dubai Science Park. This office not only acts as a headquarter for UAE business, but for entire international business. So a $400 million business of CEPLA is being run out of Dubai. So that has been a great experience here. And I think with more such steps between India and UAE, I think we will not just stop with CEPA, but I hope we will partner more in terms of addressing all the concerns that rightly Indian pharma would have to increase our partnership. And I think Mr. Mavan also mentioned about how do we bring complex technology like biosimilars or oncology medicine. So I would like to state that CEPLA is one of the largest manufacturers, US FDA approved site for anti-cancer medicine. And this is second complex area that we would like to explore after our inhalation medicine in UAE. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much, Tahir sir. So over to you, Sri Kumar sir, for I think questions from the audience is what we'll be looking forward to. So let's start from your end.
Great to hear, Tahir. And we are also happy to say that the CEPLA is hunting for partners here, and good to know Marwan, he is having all his facilities over there. And we know that your team is, for example, in our facility today in discussions for partnership. So we know CEPLA is in a great expansion mode over here. Thank you very much. Now let me take a little tricky question to Dr. Maryam. See, when somebody invests, it's a business. Pharma is, of course, touching the human heart, but at the same time, it's also a business. So the pricing is the key aspect for any pharma companies. UAE last 10 years has been actively pursuing reducing the prices. So we know that over 6,200 drugs have been in the chopping block for from the perspective of pricing in the last 10 years, and almost 60% prices have been brought down. It's a good thing for the consumer, but at the same time, it should not cost to the manufacturers. So keeping this in the backdrop, based on your experience, ma'am, how is the pricing for Indian pharmaceutical products work in UAE, and what they should do to get a better pricing? A piece of advice.
The process of the pricing in the Ministry of Health, before the pricing, they ask the price of the drug in the country of origin. Then after, they will add percentage for the export of their medicine here. That's why, because the price of the drugs in the Indian is very low in the country of origin. It's very low. But if the Indian drugs were manufacturing in the UAE locally, the Ministry of Health will give 70% to the innovator drugs. And also, if you went to register in the GCC country, they took the pricing in the UAE, not in the pricing in the Indian. That's why the price for the drugs will be low pricing here, which is manufacturing there, and only they import the medicine to the agent in the UAE. That we ask all the Indian factory to come in the UAE and manufacturing your product, transfer your technology to the factory, local factories in the Emirates. You will get good price and will get good price, and not only UAE and the GCC country also, and Middle East. Why the drugs will be reduced the price? Because the innovator company, they reduce their pricing, and they ask the Ministry of Health to reduce the price, and that's why the generic drugs will be pricing less than innovator 70%, which is manufacturing locally.
A great input, and one key takeaway is the pricing approved by the MOH in UAE determines or influence a lot in getting better prices across GCC. So again, as Dr. Galadhari explained and welcomed, so this is the right place to bring in the investment. And thank you, and over to India.
Thank you, sir. We have just one question so far from our audience, but that is specific to the Ayurvedic stream of medicine. If Indian companies want to export Ayurvedic medicines, what is the kind of regulatory environment or some advice which can be given on this regard?
Well, there is a clear-cut pathway set by the Ministry of Health to get the approval of Ayurvedic medicines or herbal medicines as they defined as. And there is no restriction as long as your ingredients comply with the database of MOHAB, and facility has to have a necessary GMP approval. Then I think there is no restriction on Ayurvedic medicines. There is a fair bit of Indian population which accepts Ayurvedic medicines and who believe in that, and pricing is free. So yes, those are quite an interesting area to look into it. But just speaking of Ayurvedic, if I can just extend it, the example I wanted to give for Indian partners and those who are listening is the Himalaya. Is a great example who see this region for a very long-term potential. And again, 30, 40 years ago, they used to sell, the Ayurvedic medicines, I'd say Ayurvedic medicines. And today, if you see the most beautiful building in Dubai Science Park is no longer Pharmex, it's a R&D center of Himalaya drug. And there is no reference of India. It is that they are an Emirati company and they are present in Middle East. And I think the large boys of Indian pharmaceutical industry should look at that way. Same way as Hikma has looked at it in Jordan. Jordan was much less rich country, smaller country. And today Hikma is the globally largest pharmaceutical company emerging from Jordan. Same way, I think some of the Indian partners can look at it in setting up a base here, take all the advantages of one of the most advanced infrastructure, financial systems, investors, and grow from here, not just selling in Dubai and how much I can sell to Aster and Life. That will never attract them because the volume will always be small, but one should have a much bigger view of Dubai or UAE as a base to grow the rest of the world.
I think that was a good explanation and the background. I think the audience in the Indian side will know that Dabur and Himalaya is very active over here. Both has got facilities and even huge investments which is being announced here. And on top of that, I think Mr. Marwan will know more. There is a lot of encouragement, clear encouragement for supplements and herbal medicines today. So UAE is a population which believes in, the neuromuscular simulations and improvements of the human system rather than only the medicines which cure. So the preventive system is well encouraged by both Emirati citizens here and the expat citizens here. So many Indian companies are looking at this arena. It's a good question, and definitely there is a lot of scope for that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. No questions as such from Indian side. I would just request my panelists Tahir Karampur sir, Dr. Dhanasekharan, Abhijit sir, anybody has any comments to make, any suggestions or questions?
We take questions from there. I think from your perspective and the pharma industry's cooperation between India and UAE, let's address a couple of more questions from this side, because you can make use of this opportunity to
Sure,
get a lot.
why not? Why not? Why not?
So it's a bit tough question to Mr. Marwan. Pricing is a great concern for most of the Indian companies, even though we just discussed how the pricing works here by Dr. Maryam. And it is a crux of the matter, for investors also. So what do you think UAE can change, or the authorities need to change for Indian companies to get better pricing here? Because the originator price is low, because India's prices are lower. So what do you think could be something which the authorities should be doing, or you should be recommending?
I mean, I must say that I did try to lobby that the price should not be the country of origin. Post my few visits to India and looking at the factories, because they usually, the larger factories would have a factory that is for exports and then a factory that is for local market. And this is why I was like, okay, it doesn't make sense that we take the country of origin, because the price that is used in the country of origin is for Indian, whereas this product is actually made in the export only factory, which is for Europe, US, etc. So I raised my hand and I wrote to the ministry and everything, and I tried to lobby that. But unfortunately, it was pushed back, because this law or this guideline is applied to all the countries, not only to India, but anyone who's importing or exporting to UAE. They use the country of origin as a base price. So my lobbying tactics did not work, unfortunately. However, I think it creates an opportunity as well. Like they say, every challenge is also an opportunity. The opportunity is for the Indian manufacturers to partner with local companies or even invest directly. That's the only way. It takes longer, it needs more investment, but that's fine. Because like you said, if there's a business case, if there's an opportunity, then people are willing to invest and support. I mean, maybe CEPA, I think with the expedited timeline, I think that is something very encouraging. It will definitely increase the investment to the UAE. So although if you look at that country of origin pricing by itself, it is, yes, definitely a challenge. But I think we need to look at the other side of the glass half full, as they say.
I cannot see a better friend for Indian pharma companies in Dubai than Mr. Marwan, who actually touched the right point. The pricing has to be seen differently. But he has also given us a solution. The solution is to partner with a UAE company and get pricing as a UAE origin product. Both are very valid, and we will soon look for any changes in the policies. And we have Council of Trade here, and you can take note of these opportunities which is here. And then we are here to facilitate Kalimathu sir. One more question, following from this question to Madhukar. Based on your experience, what will it make for an Indian pharma company to invest in UAE? Why should they do it? I mean, why should they do it?
First of all, they have a lot of money. If you look at the profit after tax of all top 20 Indian pharmaceutical companies, that runs into millions of dollars, and we are the nearest country in provide a hedge against the rupee, talent pool which is available in UAE, which can be easily brought to India. And look at the much broader view of the region. As I'm repeating myself, but I think the large Indian companies should start looking at having an alternative source of manufacturing, which I don't think there is any better country outside of India than UAE as a base. So I think they should look at the opportunities given by authorities, the incentives, the kind of support you get. Is, I think they welcoming us with red carpet. And I think Indian manufacturers should take the advantage of that. There are a lot of other fiscal benefits, those kind of things at the same time. So yeah, look at long term, come to the region. I think there will be initial difficulties, but eventually I think it is worthwhile.
So pricing, less entry barrier and opportunity for the better pricing across the region. These are the key attractiveness other than sourcing of funds at a reasonable cost. These are the factors which should attract Indian companies to be here. Over to you, Virat. We'll be happy to take 2-3 questions from that side.
Sure, sir. Mr. Tahir had a point to make on pricing. I'll just first allow him to speak.
Thank you. Thanks, Brad, for that. I think since we touched upon this point and Mr. Marwan also talked about that he tried working on this and trying to find a solution to this. So I have also a solution to propose that since UAE is looking at reference country approval before granting approval in UAE and getting a fast track, reference country pricing could also be looked at rather than country of origin pricing. Because while on paper, it looks that this regulation applies to all the countries in equal manner, but it doesn't work equally for Indian pharmaceutical companies, because while we are manufacturing in India, the quality standard and the regulation that we have to meet is as per stringent regulatory authorities, whereas the pricing that is benchmarked is against India or other less regulated market. So that is one change or one suggestion that is there for your discussion, I think.
Right. Thank you, Tahir sir, for that suggestion. We have one question on nutritional supplements. What kind of an opportunity is there in the UAE market? Can anybody share some insight on that?
Mr. Marwan, would you like to take the question?
Since I was yesterday with a manufacturer of Ayurvedic products, mainly supplements, I will give you the same advice that I gave him. He came to my office and he had a bag with maybe 20 types of products for brain, for focus, for tiredness, for anything you can think of. And he said, what can work? And I told him everything can work. All of that that you have brought, can work, provided that it has the GMP approval and all of that and the basic quality marks. But it's about how you market your products. And we talked at length in how it is not the easiest way to go through chain pharmacies, because they have listing, pricing, and registration and shelf. They charge for rent, etc., etc., and they ask you to have your own promoter in the pharmacy as well. And I think it is time for us to think of new ways, whether it is online marketing or using influencers, etc. It's such a big space to be explored, and I think more and more people care about their well-being, care about prevention, and even insurance companies today are avoiding to pay for your consultation. They want you to not go and see the doctor, to stay well and be healthy, and all of that drives this kind of business. So I think I would say be very innovative in marketing. Know your audience, know what triggers people. Maybe the language that is used in India is different than what kind of language and what how people make decisions. But I would say, yeah, definitely the prevention market is very big, very, very big.
I think that was a good, apt answer, and Dr. Maryam would like to add more. Yeah.
I added some more. All the food supplement product till now is not a pricing from the ministry. Well, it is a free.
That's a token bonus. It's a free pricing, free for all. But the key point, what we should take note of from Marwan is the cost of selling, cost of distribution, and cost of marketing. People who are in the industry here, we know that there is a high percentage of cost when it leaves the factory. The cost of distribution, the cost of promotion, and the discounts, and so on and so on and so on. So Ayurvedic products, we know it's all low cost produced, and it is sold to people with an attraction of the pricing. So as he rightly said, we need to look at innovative SM-based, social media-based marketing, digital marketing, etc., to keep the price down. At the same time, the message reaching the audience rightfully. Thank you very much. Do you have any other question from the Indian side? Otherwise, it is fair to take a couple of questions from the Dubai audience here.
Yes, so nothing else from our side. You can address any questions if you might have, please.
We can take 2 questions from the Dubai audience here, one of time.
I think I'll start with a comment and a question. The comment is, I think it's a first-rate panel session at both ends. I think it reflects on the quality of panelists and, for a deep dive such as this into a focused sector requires expertise. And clearly that expertise is evident in front of us. So my question is to Marwan, to Madhukar, and also to the panelists in India. It was said earlier that the banks here are flush with money and are prepared to lend, but in reality, that doesn't happen that way. We know, and you know, and I know certainly. More importantly, when you want to encourage innovation, when you want to encourage investments here, you need support of a private equity, a venture capital ecosystem, which is still in a very nascent stage here. So is this likely to prove a challenge? Because everything else will work. There would be interest that we can generate at both ends. But how do you see a very sustained, because this is development of industry, you need long-term finance. Banks here are looking at 18 months and 12 months and 24 months. So is that a challenge? Maybe Madhukar, from your personal experience as well, you could comment on this.
I can start and then you can add. Honestly, I mean, maybe I've seen a big difference in the last 10 years. So, 10 years ago, there was a lot of focus on e-commerce, on, things like platforms, Noon, Souk, all of that. And these were things that people never invested in. I think with Amazon coming in with, so many activities, that the e-commerce became quite and now with, deliveries and, things like that, it became a very populated area. And you see a lot of VCs still actively today investing in that particular space. Now, I think, similarly how there was a boom in that sector, now I see the same thing happening in healthcare, and all of that is thanks to COVID. COVID has, made the highlights, and all the family offices, the VCs are saying we should have a closer look. We should definitely invest in this, and you see that with the major family offices, for example, with the Altair Group, Khan Sahib, a lot of them investing in hospitals. But this is a beginning, and slowly, and I'm already seeing that slowly you will see a transition into technology, digital health, pharma, IP, owning IP. So that is something that has already started, and this is why this is a very, very important time that people should, jump on the wagon now, not after 5 years, because after 5 years, it will be a very crowded space. So I see it coming, very interesting activities. And I would say, the acquisition of Pharmax is a very good example. So, Madhukar.
Sure. From the personal experience, yes, I don't think the bankers, the financiers, whatever club they are very keen to invest in any greenfield project, any high risk project, anything which involves, long-term cash flow back. I don't think there is any appetite as of now, or at least 10 years ago and 5 years ago. But as Marwan said, and I completely agree, I'll give you a couple of examples where right now the environment exists, either sovereign funds, private equities, investors. There are people willing to put in, may not be a large capital, but maybe small, but they are willing to take risk and willing to fund. There are two funds which I know. One is under formation of biotech fund, where, a size of maybe $50 million, spread it across to some. That is one thing which is ongoing. The second one, and based out of Dubai. Second one, which is ongoing around, is again, there are Altairs of this world and Galadharis of this world who are family offices. Even if they put in 2% of their family office fund, that is adequate to set up some research-oriented projects, which can take it further. A nice, beautiful lab, which can do some work and take it forward. So times have changed in last 2-3 years, and it's for the benefit and for the better.
Hope that satisfies your query, sir. Yeah, I think Sureshji has put me in the right spot, in a tight spot rather. Yes, there is a change and a perception difference today, but Madhukar has actually explained it well. If there is a running business, there is a business which is creating cash flow, the appetite is very high now. All the sovereign funds of Abu Dhabi, all the PE firms which is active in Dubai is behind healthcare, edutech, and pharma businesses. The multiples have gone up. The valuations have gone up in the last 2 quarters. When it comes to a greenfield, yes, he is right, there is a challenge. But in greenfield, still there are opportunities and windows if it is strongly backed up by a case which has to have its technology and the skin in the game by the promoters. Not that they should not be giving an impression that it's fly by wire. You just come see an opportunity for a short time. It doesn't work. If they have the skin in the game, you have a good technology backed up by a fantastic market study and a business case. Yes, there is appetite, there is a big change, and even a door-to-door 10 years is today workable, sir.
Hello. Very nice. This particular platform. I am a biotechnologist. I am Dr. Bijayanand Panigrai, and I am come from India. For Zytex is going on, right? So that platform is something different, and I am the odd man out, might be. That's why I came here to gain some knowledge. So actually, we have developed a very good molecule that is called protease inhibitor, which will really applicable in viral infection and all these things. So available protease inhibitor are very costly and not thermal stable, need cold chain transportation and storage. And we are come up with a highly pH stable and thermal stable this molecule. And that is the first made in India product. And for that, we got a BIRAC grant from Government of India. As a small startup, because this product, whatever I have developed around from 2016 onwards, and we are come in the product stable level already. We are in the market in for R&D sector especially. So what is the opportunity behind in UAE especially? Like biotech industry especially. Why? This is a very good hub in technological and this futuristic, mechanistic and IT sector. I visit some of the city center and excellent. But when I come in this sector, I feel a little bit restricted might be in myself. So how you address this question with respect to your understanding?
Mr. Marwan can probably.
I just want to understand, are you at the discovery phase? Are you pre-discovery? Where?
Already we have discovered.
Okay.
And we are
you in
trial.
clinical trials now?
No. I am not into clinical trial. Why? Because clinical trial take a very long period. This black hair might be white. So that's why I am very much focused in the industrial sector of the this particular product with respect to those who are isolating protein from therapeutics protein or vaccine development company. They might be one of the biggest customer for us. So with that direction we are looking, but we can plan for cosmetic industry also as an ingredient. We might planning for something for antiviral prevention purpose. So this could be in my mind and our team mind. Yeah. In that direction I'm looking.
Okay.
But we can further plan for the therapeutics purpose also.
Yeah. Okay. I understand where you are, and all the factories that we have in the industries that we have in the UAE are mostly generic. We are yet to be at the innovation forefront, and that will not happen by itself. It needs a lot of efforts, and people like myself and other government agencies are pushing that agenda. And in my opinion, the only way that happens is that the gap between the universities and industry is reduced, and there is a bridge created, and that bridge is built, although it's not a very strong one, compared to India or UK or US. However, it's still there, and some seeds have been planted. So there are some grants, for example, that are given to faculty members or even students, again, on small scale, on ideas, discoveries that they have, and they're doing it in some of the university labs. Now, if you ask the industry, why are you not investing in those ideas? They will say, it's too risky. We don't know whether it will work or not. So, the industry also needs some sort of vehicles that can be created to bridge that gap. We're not there yet, but this is something that again will take time. But people like yourselves, are those people who push the agenda.
Thank you very much. Want of time, I would like to wind up the session, but I think the gentleman was waiting for one question. If it's a quick one, we can take it. Yeah.
I myself is Rajan, and I have two questions regarding CEPA agreement. One is, what is the way forward for the Indian companies to, under this special arrangement of getting a registration, fast track registration when they are registered in US or other countries? What is the next course of action to be taken, whether we should be involving the Ministry of Health, or who will be the person who's going to answer it? That's one. Second thing, there is a duty exemption for vitamin imports into UAE as per the CEPA agreement, but for an export from UAE to India, it attracts 7.5% duty. Exporting to India a vitamin from here for me is like a saying that taking coal to the Newcastle. So, but still I have an opportunity to export to India, provided that they reduce, because if they put this 7.5% duty on a vitamin product manufactured in UAE, I'll not be competitive in India because the products are very cheap. These are the two things. And then third one, for the herbal products, the Indian counterparts asked here whether they can bring the herbal products here. It's very easy, but they have to ensure that the heavy metal content is within the limits. That is the first and foremost important criteria here for the registration. if Dr. Maryam Galadhari or somebody can take up the other matter of pricing of Indian products, we can take it up that we follow the guidelines of Ministry of Health, not based on the price of country of origin, but based on the price of the base minimum 40%. Even if the companies are provided 40% of the price of the innovator, they will still be making a lot of money for the Indian companies, which if UAE government can take it up on that matter. And it is not that the product that you sold in India is cheaper. It's not cheaper. 60% of the profit, probably that's what my understanding. If Mr. Ashok or Mr. Virat can correct me if I am wrong, that 60% of the profit of the huge multinational type companies in India, their profit comes from India, where they sell for as low as probably 50 fills. A strip of atorvastatin cost you 50 fills in India, but they make 60% of their profit from India. But they cannot sell that one because for all the exports, if we have to meet the criteria, we have to have, I cannot sell a Rolls Royce at the price of Toyota. So we have a problem in India is that we have to have such facilities. To maintain such facilities is very expensive in India. So the price should not be considered on basis that, because I am serving in India for 1.5 billion people. In UAE, it is only 13 million people. So, the market size, even if I put $1 or 1 cent profit on my Indian market size, my profit is higher than serving a smaller market. So that based on that one and the affordability, maybe they can consider, but it's a long process, which even I had a couple of discussions with Mr. Marwan. And I am happy to inform that there are so many opportunities for nutraceuticals. I am the person who successfully introduced in this market vitamin D when people were laughing at me to have and today I have 70%, 80% of the market share of vitamin D in this market. Saudi Arabia, I'm holding 70% of the market. So there is nothing like that we cannot do. I am specialized in bringing in special products. We have bought an iron, which is highly bioavailable. And there is new products are now, for the first time in the world, we have got a research, which is migraine, which is undergoing the registration process in UAE. We have got a new medicine, which, so the opportunities are ample. I have traveled through the whole pharma industry of UAE or the GCC. I started as a pharmaceutical consultant, and then I have got a branded marketing. Then I have started a drugstore. I have a pharmaceutical manufacturing facility based in Jebel Ali now. So I have traveled through all the things, successfully doing it. There is no problem that Indian companies should not hesitate to come here. There is an ample opportunity, but don't play in the same large areas of, like, Indian companies are, some of them are like CEPA. They are totally very helpful for them because they are one of the top players of, I think, this asthma related products. And it is widely accepted everywhere. The industry is, there are so many opportunities. We are coming up with a lot of things. I'm already in discussion with a couple of people here. We are bringing up with a new manufacturing facility. Dr. Galadhari asked about manufacturing. Yes, one of the company is now already in the discussion of putting up an API plant here in UAE. They are just looking for the location where they have to put up. So there are projects going on, and new things are already in pipeline.
Mr. Rajan, with the due respect, it's great. We heard the story. You are one of the success model for and a motivation for all of us and the people in India. You have posed 2-3 questions, and one of them is the pricing and pricing under CEPA. Of course, CEPA is an agreement between two governments, and then particular detailing of each of the activities and how it is done is going through its particular ministries. So Ministry of Health, MOH, has already incorporated some of the CEPA elements into it. And if you have any further queries on that, for example, offline, you can reach to Dr. Galadhari. She will be more than happy as a mother of the pharmacists in UAE to help you. And export, the duty part, I don't think we have a clear answer at this moment. and we can raise this through Chamber of Commerce into the particular divisions, and they will answer you. Thank you very much, and we wish you good luck. You are a good model, and thank you very much for the participation. And with this, we will wind up the question answer session. And Sureshji, if you have anything to say, or shall we wind up the panel session now? Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I would now like to request Chairman IBPC Suresh Kumar ji and Honorable Council Commerce Shri K. Kalimurthy ji to join the panelists on the dais, and we'll have a group photograph here, please.
Last but not least, ask the moderator and also coordinated the moderation from there, India, Virat ji. Thank you very much for the excellent coordination with the little technical snag which happened in the beginning. Thank you, all the panelists. I enjoyed myself, and it's a privilege to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Pleasure engaging with all of you. Thank you from India as well.
Sir, please. With this, we have come to the closure of this event. We would like to thank Chairman Suresh Kumar ji, Honorable Consul General Dr. Aman Puri ji, Honorable Council Commerce Shri K. Kalimurthy ji, Director Trade Promotion Council of India Ashok Sethi ji, our moderators for the day Shri Virat Bahari ji and Shri Kumar Brahmanandan ji, and our esteemed panelists for gracing the occasion and sharing valuable thoughts with us. Trade Promotion Council of India for joining forces, IBPC members and guests to join us here as well as over the digital platform. Thank you all once again, and have a great day ahead.